pray. Father, we thank you that we have the privilege of serving this community via this school. We thank you for the board. We pray for wisdom for them. We thank you for the administrators, the principals, the directors, the nutrition staff who are here tonight. We thank you for them. And we just pray that you be glorified in our work, that we would trust you and live for you. And we pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Moving on to 10.3, we will now start with MPS Child Nutrition Department and MPS Technology Department. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I had somebody in my ear. We're going to start with video. That's the crew. I think we need a little coaching though on our buffalo symbol. We had a little discrepancy about whether it was, hooking horns with the horns down or I love you with the horns down. So we need some clarification on that. But, didn't you like Kim's comment? The little angels. I was waiting for her to say something after that. That's great. That's great. So I'm going to introduce the folks who are here. Super proud of them. It's my first time to present to you all, and it's a privilege for me to be here. I'm going to go school by school. You have the list, and when I call your name, if you would stand, okay? So we don't have a whole lot of time for this part, but I'm going to just go through here. We're going to start with the high school, and we're going to go grade level down. Jerry Hipper is our manager there. Kimberly Dorsey, Timmy Stiers, Charlotte Daly, Shelley Vargas. Okay? And then, y'all can sit down, I guess, after we get there, that's fine. And then we have Key, and this year we have 2 people there, and we're doing snacks there as well. So these two do about 1,600 to 1,800 snacks a day. Snack bags. So Carla, I see Carla. Carla's the manager there. Did you already stand? No. Okay. And I don't see Sandra. Is Sandra here? No. Okay. And Sandra. Okay. And then Randy, we moved to Randy Hughes. Kim Dunham, working with the Little Angels. And she's the manager there. Darlene, Pam, and Janet. All right. Thank y'all. And then Parker, Terry. And she's the manager there. Sherry, and Nancy, and Brenda, and Wanda. They're sitting in their groups today. Yeah. Then we got Peter Ball, and I didn't see Leanne. Okay. Becky, Maricela, and Karina. I guess Peter Ball is a no-show. These 2 Gomez ladies are not related, but we got 2 Gomez's working there at Peterball. And then Will Rogers, Cherie, our manager there, and Shelley, and Caitlin. Caitlin's there 2nd year. Mary Billy, y'all know Mary Billy, and Bresia. There we go. And then Carla Brock. I haven't seen Annie. Annie hasn't been feeling well, but she's the manager and the Lone Ranger there for now. We've had a sub helping her out. Our 2 subs, Jennifer and Ashley. And then, Jennifer, Jennifer, Cherie thinks she's permanent there. And I'm trying to hold on to her over there. She's a sub. But anyway. And then at the office, I saw Denise, sitting by her sister. And Brenda, and Jordan. Can't mistake it, Jordan, and myself. All right, thank you. Okay, and I have already gone over my time. So I'm going to just highlight my self-imposed deadline. I'm going to highlight the things on this packet that I gave you, because I've already gone over. Oh, you can see the number of breakfast, lunch, snacks served. When you look at it this way, that just seems like a lot of meals to me. And we're just, the 3rd month. We did get approved for the NSLP applications. We've already done 2 of the claims this year for that, and I wrote the amounts there. We're in the process of applying for the CSCFP, the snack, a meal, the 3rd meal, and it's taken some groundwork to get there because I've had to fill out quite a few forms to eliminate the schools that we've closed, to reclassify things, and so we're not quite there yet. But the school year doesn't start for this claim until October. So I was able to do the first claim. I put that on there, $79,551.11, and there was 18,917 students served. That's those snacks that I was telling you about. And then we're waiting on a site issue to do the other one. I couldn't do Will Rogers because they had the wrong student count. Other than that, it's done. And it will be, you can see, if we had 18,000 students at 79,000, you can see it'll be about a 3rd more for this month's one. The meal patterns, don't have time to talk about them, but I included those because we talked about those at the admin retreat. I continue to receive lots of comments about that. And the last anecdote will be related to that. If you look at the last page, the lunch meal patterns, these are our requirements for when we're doing our meal planning. These are our requirements. And you can see each grade level has different meal requirements. If you look to the bottom where it says saturated fat, sodium, trans fat, if you look at the sodium category, this is our maximum number of salt, milligrams, that we can serve per week. And just for fun, I Googled a Big Mac last week, just to see how much a Big Mac meal, medium fries, and a soda is exactly $12.25, which is our maximum amount for the entire week for this age group, for grades 6 through 8. I just thought that was an interesting anecdote. Do you have any questions for me?
Well, I can just say for myself as a mom, thank you for what you do every day. I agree with the last comment that you are doing God's work and you're feeding kids that may not have a meal except from you every day. So from me personally, thank you, and I'm sure it's from all of the board as well. So thank you for what you do. And thank you, Gary. Hey, Gary Guthrie.
Good evening. My guys are super introverted and they would rather sit in the corner, so I'm gonna be a good boss and ask them to come up here while I introduce them. So while they're coming up, terrible, yes, I know. So we are the technology department. We are in charge of roughly 3,000 devices, Chromebooks, iPads, etc. 300 or 400 office, classroom, principal, admin devices, cameras. There's got to be in the neighborhood of 1,000, 1,500 cameras that we're responsible for. Doors, I don't want to think about doors. So there's every single door in the district has got some kind of electronic lock on it, and it is a challenge to say the least to maintain all of that. So but this is my second year on the job. First year was trying to not drown and learn a lot, and this year we're trying to make positive changes, move things in the direction we want them to go, still undoing previous things that were not taken care of. So, but we're getting there. But I'm going to introduce my guys now. I have two system admins, and I could not do this job without any of these guys. But my two system admins are just, the job would be undoable. Jason Strickland. He's been with the district for a long time. John Fields had an obligation he couldn't get out of. He's not here tonight. He's a younger guy, got the gauges. He's kind of scary looking, but we all love John. Him and Jason together are a duel to be reckoned with. They can handle just about anything. We have two desktop technicians, Chris Nelson and James McCausland. So they maintain all the admins, the teachers, any Mac or Windows laptop or desktop, and then our sole Chromebook technician that repairs every broken Chromebook in the district is Andrew Nelson. So he has quite the job to do. The kids, for the most part, are very good, and they don't tear up too much, but we do have some of our little angels, as the food service lady mentioned, that do like to challenge us and try to keep us on our toes and keep things torn up. So he does a very good job taking care of all that. But this is your technology department.
So I have a question.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
what is your process of getting, like if somebody has an issue, what is your process of, like if a teacher has an issue or if there's a broken Chromebook, do you have like a...
We have a ticketing system,
Okay.
and you can either email the ticketing system or you can go online to a portal and fill it out. And then the ticket is routed to the correct person, hopefully. And if not, we correct that and we get taken care of quickly again.
Okay. I was just curious how you did that. But all the Chromebooks?
All the Chromebooks.
Okay.
Yes. So.
And I will say, this afternoon when I realized the sound system wasn't working, I immediately called Gary and said, I need help. So he sent Jason, and Jason literally took the board out of this machine and took it apart trying to fix it. And I don't know that it's fixable, but they work really hard to try to make things work. They're probably on their 12th life, and we're still
Yes.
limping along.
Yes, we have some old equipment, so, but this one's not that old. It's just, we think maybe lightning got into it. So.
Thank you for what you do. I know sometimes it's kind of thankless, but nowadays and after COVID, we know how important jobs are. And so, especially with being one-to-one on devices, that just blows my mind. But thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
We couldn't be running without you, so thank you so much. Anybody have any questions for him?
No, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. You go home. Okay, so 4.3 was board reports, there's none. 4 was
starting to wrap up. Softball finished their season last week at regionals. They graduated 3 seniors and are excited for the direction that the program is still going to be going. Volleyball is playing Duncan tonight. They're at Lincoln Christian for regionals. Football is a little over halfway through their season, currently 3rd in District 5A3, and will be playing East Central this Thursday at East Central. Cheer, we have Brinley Ham and Alyssa Loudermilk made the OCA All-Region Cheer Squad. Off-season sports are actively involved in our community projects. Basketball recently completed cleaning up at Chaddock Park. Golf did clean up at Chaddock, will be doing Chaddock Park this Wednesday. Boys and girls soccer participated in our elementary mentor reading at Pier Law and Will Rogers last week. Security update, our new security gates have been well received by spectators at our athletic events. They make entering the stadium much smoother and decrease the amount of checks required for entrance. We continue to update and modify protocols as we work through this process. For the most part, the community has been very cooperative with our new measures. We added a portable concession to our visitor side of the football stadium, and that helps keeping the visitors on their side.
That was great.
Yeah. And he has plans for anytime that is needed somewhere else, we can just hook onto it and take it to an event. You know, if the elementary has something and they need concession or something, you can move it around. So,
Did we get a score?
Yeah.
I'm working on it.
Okay.
We're out.
We're out.
We
How
lost.
long is it?
We lost
Oh.
3-1.
Oh, no.
3 games to 1. Volleyball Colton King. Or Matt. Okay,
I don't really know.
3-1.
20 years. So, that's sad. Okay. 4.2, Executive Director of Curriculum and Instruction Report, Mrs. Rodriguez.
Okay, so I want to start by looking at our student count, of course. And so if you look from last month, we had 3,086. This month, we're down to 3,067. So we're down by 19. To kind of give you in a perspective of that from last year at this time, though, we were at 2,971. So we're up by 96 compared to last year at this time. The 19 that have left between last month and this month, we've actually, you can't really track the numbers that have gone down because we've actually lost 45 students since last month. So if we've lost 45, but we only show 19, that tells you how many have moved in. So it's constantly, every day, you could call me tomorrow and say, what's our number? It's gonna be different than this, because this was run last week. But the majority of the ones that have left they have moved out of district, or we had 5 that were at the detention center that left. And so, we only had 4 no-shows, where last month there were a whole bunch of no-shows that we had rolled over from the previous year. So, just kind of, as you look at the numbers, our virtual numbers are higher, so some that may have dropped from a building have gone into virtual, our own virtual school. So, any questions on student count? Okay, I wanted to give you just a quick update on the curriculum department. So this year, we've been working on curriculum mapping from grade 3 through 12. We've done it a little bit in pre-K, K1 and 2, but mainly we focus on 3rd through 12th. And 3rd and 4th grade are writing for ELA and math. And 5th through 12th are doing ELA, math, social studies, and science. And so what that involves is we're asking the teachers to do backwards thinking. It's called backwards design, where you think about the end in mind first, and then you go back and you write their curriculum. And so what that means by writing it is you're pulling in the resources from different things. We have a textbook, we may use this source. So we're first looking at, if I'm a 4th grade teacher, what do I want them to be able to do at the end of my unit that I'm teaching? And I decide what are those desired results for the students to get done. And then I go back and create my assessment. Wherein a lot of things are in education start at the beginning, and we teach and teach and teach, and then we assess them at the end. And so it's been very challenging, but very rewarding for our teachers to have to look at the end and go backwards. We've not always thought that way. And so having the teachers on board with it and trying to bring them in together, some that were at different buildings, definitely has been rewarding for the curriculum department to get out and work with our teachers. And so I want you all to be able to know kind of what we've been working on curriculum-wise. And then I guess it's 2 weeks ago, September 25th, we did a training with all district staff on assessment. What's the difference between formative and summative? And we've gotten a really good feedback from teachers, both new and very distinguished, about, we had one that said, I had forgotten that I used to do this and I don't do it anymore, and so I'm gonna get back to that formative, which is that in-class conversations that you're having with student and observations. Because our state has pushed so much on state test scores that we had swung so far to test versus what is the in the moment learning that's happening. And so I wanted you guys to know that we had that. And we also had trauma training with Project Prevent, the grant that we got last year. We have started trauma training. We did part 1, which is just what is trauma. And then on October 30th, we'll have part 2, which is how does our body and our brain react to trauma? And what does that look like? And so for the trauma training, it's everybody. Bus drivers, maintenance, office staff, child nutrition, all are getting that training along with teachers. So that way, if a student gets on the bus in the morning and they're not acting the way that we want them to, we can hopefully recognize, is it the student misbehaving, or is it because something has happened at home that I, as a bus driver, didn't realize how I react to that can really affect how their school day goes. And so that was part of Project Prevent, it was child and violent trauma that's happened to students, and getting everyone in your district on board of what is that and what can we do to hopefully redirect them and make their day different.
So on the first thing that you were talking about starting and you know, you said it was kind of been a challenge for the teachers. How receptive are they?
For the most part, they've been very receptive of it. There have been, you know, when there's a pressure on you to make your kids pass a test, you're very scared to try something different.
Right.
And if our tests were all excellent, that would be different. But as a state, they're not good. And so research shows that if we start and we include the teachers on that versus me going to you and saying, this is what you're teaching. So our goal is to really look at what do we want them to know. And it's been hard. So it's really, our teachers do really great jobs and want to do the best. And they're afraid to think a whole different way than what they have before. And so getting teachers to be comfortable with not having it perfect is where, and we're seeing a change. It was very, very challenging at the beginning of the school year, but it has started to switch a little bit. We're kind of in there's different, when you introduce change, there's different stages. And there's storming, and then there's norming, and then there's performing. And so we were at the storming stage at the beginning. Like, I've never been told I'm going to do something a different way than what I've always done it. And so to ask them to change things and to think about things differently was challenging. Change is hard.
It is hard.
For example, like novels. We've never had a district reserve list of novels that in 3rd grade we're going to read these novels. And so part of this curriculum is looking at our novels and making sure that they're on level. Make sure they're content appropriate. You hear the news about the State Department and looking at classroom libraries and all the stuff about books right now. If I'm a 4th grade teacher, then my novel studies in class should be on 4th grade level. We've not had those discussions before. We've been able to use whatever book we wanted, regardless of its level. And so having those discussions of what books would you like to do, let's look at them and see if they're content and are they readability level. If not, that's not going to be what we do. Now, independent, they can read whatever, but if we're going to study it as part of our ELA curriculum, it needs to be on level. So, and then, you know, we've had 3 elementaries.
That makes it fair.
It does. Well, and we've had 3 elementaries that we all did things differently. Now we're in one building. If I'm a fourth grade teacher and then the fourth grade teacher down the hall, and we're doing completely different things, and my expectations for you are that we're at this level, which is fourth grade level, but then the other teacher's teaching at third grade level. And then we have parents that are friends and have kids in both of our classes. Well, my kid in my class, their work is harder. So they may not have an A, but down here they have an A, and they're not getting graded the same as I am. So it's a massive shift to have to do a aligned curriculum from K to 12 versus being able to do what we wanted to do on our own every time. So it's needed, but we had some at the beginning say, well, why don't you just tell us what to teach? But research says that that's not the best way to do it. The research says the teachers have to be involved in that process of learning and having those hard conversations of, well, what do we want them to learn? Well, we want them to pass the test. Well, what else? Like, because if they can pass, and I was guilty of this as a new teacher. I got them to pass the fourth grade test, that's all I was worried about. But if I didn't realize that there were things that are on the fourth grade test that are on the ACT, I wasn't thinking past my fourth grade classroom. And that's where education's been. We've been in silos so much that we're working on my grade, my class,
And not looking at.
and not looking at the system as a whole. Yeah. Yeah, but we're seeing there, it's really starting to come around.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions for Ms. Rodriguez?
Good job.
Thank you, Joella. 4.3, Business Manager and Treasurer Report, Mrs. Tracy Sontag.
Hello. If you look at the first page of the financial statements where it says September 2023, in our general fund, our revenue is $5,335,819.11 for the year so far. And it leaves us with a fund balance of about 2.1, almost 2.2 million. Which is really good for this time of year. We're actually ahead of where we were last year, because Lori's made me do a lot of things, like make federal claims really early, and not wait until the very end. So, we got our federal claims in a whole lot earlier this year than last year. So we closed out the previous year earlier. So that's helped our fund balance stay a little higher. If you look at salaries this year in general fund, a little over 3.2 million. Last year this time we were at 3.3 million. A lot of that from last year was bonuses, well, not bonuses, stipends from Great Expectations training. And so that was kind of the difference, but we're really holding steady in our salaries with all the teacher raises this year, and also giving our support staff a raise. We're doing really well to hold steady. We've still got some work to do, but we're doing well. The building fund is also still in the 2 million area, which is really, really good. We have some large payments that come out of building fund. One for the Will Rogers edition, we still have payments on that, that come out of the building fund and the Fund 25 out of the municipal tax levy fund. And then we have lease purchase where they did the baseball field and all the repairs that they've done over the last year or two that we're still paying on as well, and that comes out of the building fund. That payment's due in in December, and then the other one's due in June. So, right before the year ends. We've spent a little bit out of our transportation bond fund that was from before. That 13,000 is where we bought the semi for the van trailer. So that's the half from the van trailer. They paid their half, we paid half. So those funds are actually funds that we can use on anything now, but we're still trying to keep it in that transportation vein. Same with the technology bond. We're past what we have to spend it on what it was originally for, the original bond. This is what's left, and it falls below the limit of what's left, so we can kind of, use those funds as what we need them for. But we're trying to keep them there just so we keep our one-to-one, or we keep replacing our classes, when we need to. And then, the junior high event center, fund is, we're still paying for things. We're not quite finished with the junior high. They still come and fix things. We had some extra costs because the project went over quite a bit, and we're still waiting for seating to be put in the end of the event center where it's all just yellow, you know. We're having, molded seating put in there, and that should be in this month, October is what they said, so it should be installed sometime this month, so we're still waiting for those things before we know how much we exactly have left in that fund. And then, if you look on the next pages where it says McAllister General Revenue Fund, these are just the things that we collected this year. Our ad valorem is pretty much, you know, everything that people didn't pay their taxes on time for. Those are still trickling in. We won't really see a large payment from that until probably December. We've already started to get our foundation and salary incentive, which is increased this year because of the teacher raise. We about 1.9 million more than last year. What we ended up getting is what we're getting this year. Again, the teacher raise is about a $1.8 million bump for our teachers in this district. So we're just about going to break even on that unless, hopefully we get more money after mid-year adjustments. If our ADM looks right, especially with having more kids than we had last year, that should be something that we see. Also, we added the 2 extra 3-year-old programs at Carla Brock, which we were able to count 30 of those students, give them special services, which we get to count those in our count as well, and the 3-year-olds count as like 1.5 students. So, we also get some extra money from them as well for that. So we should be seeing a little bit of a bump there. And then, if you notice on page 2 of that report, if you get to the 4,000, Project Prevent is pretty much, and Impact Aid is pretty much the only federal monies that we've received for this year. We won't start applying for those till all those are approved by the state and they're in our debt. And then everything you see in the state and federal prior year is all the things that we closed out at the end of the year and we've already got to put back into our account. And then if you look on the packets that I handed you out just a while ago, that's our bank account statement for our governmental funds, which is just all the ones that I went over. We have a little over $10 million in the bank. This time last year, we had $9,642 and change. So we're about $600,000 done this year. So, does anybody have any questions? Now that I've rattled on forever.
Looks good.
Good.
And then the last thing, federal programs. You know, I do all the federal programs, the budgeting, and everybody has a part, special ed does their part. There are different ones that do parts of the federal programs. We haven't completed all of the applications, some because of the change of schools. Just like Gary said earlier, because we've changed sites, we've deleted sites and added sites. They haven't updated it all on their side, so until they update it on their side, I can't budget for it, 'cause it won't let me. And so I'm just trying to wait them out. We have another grant that's the very last year of the school improvement grant, and Prentice has everything ready to go, but she can't do it either because it was for William Gay, and William Gay no longer school. So we're just kind of hanging out until they can, but about 2/3 of our federal programs are all ready to go, so we're just waiting for approval on them. And that's it.
Any questions for Tracy? Thank you. Moving on to 4.4, Deputy Superintendent Report, Mrs. Paula Meadows.
Just kind of a little update, and thank you again for allowing us to pay for COSA memberships for all of our administrators, because we're gonna be benefiting greatly from that. We've got 3 of our new principals going to New Principals Academy. They just recently went to their first session. They've got 5 different times they go. They'll go, and they're in the same cohort with the same people, and they've already told me some things they brought back from the first one. So that's a really good thing that we're able to send them to. They'll have some conferences coming up in the spring. There's a secondary conference and an elementary conference, and I don't know if you guys know what goes on at those conferences, but they have breakout sessions that are just towards their level. They have keynote speakers that are brought in specifically for secondary or specifically for elementary, and then they just get to network with other administrators. It's just a great opportunity, so I'm really looking forward to the ones who can go, and then we'll just kind of switch that around every year. You know, if one gets to go last year, then somebody else goes this next year, and kind of make sure that they all get that. I mean, really, I like going to those kinds of things. I just always bring something back from it, so I'm just appreciative of them being able to have that opportunity as well. So.
Any questions for Ms. Meadows? Thank you. Okay, and then 4.5, Superintendent's Report, Dr. Stever.
So I want to discuss, just briefly, talk about our increased safety protocols. I'm very pleased with the progress that we're making. We're getting a lot of positive feedback with our SROs. We have some other layers of safety, such as the weapons detector. Those were, it was very what's the word? Shocking how expensive they were, but they were absolute, doing the job that they are designed to do and in places that they need to be. Some of our other layers are in the works. Continue to try to do the absolute best, put the absolute best processes and systems in place to provide the greatest deterrent that we can provide for safety of our students at each of our campuses.
So are those moving, so I know that there was talk about moving them to campuses, or are they just being used at the football field right now?
We're eventually want to move it to some campuses. We just got to get that protocol figured out and how they're going to be used. For instance, at the high school, there's so many different entrances. We don't have enough of those or enough people to watch every entrance, so they're going to have to come up with a plan. They're working on that, of how they're going to use them, but we want to use them there eventually.
And as we can afford to add more units. I mean, more units are nice to have,
Right.
but they are quite expensive.
Well, Mr. Singleton said that's what they were using at Cotton Bowl Saturday.
The same
things.
ones.
What, I know you told us, what do they cost per unit? You know?
Well, it's 16,000.
16,
And we have,
three.
We have 3. And of course, in this initial thing, we have a training cost. There's a couple of one-time costs, but we can add units as we need to, and we don't have to pay those one-time
training
costs
costs
again.
again. Is there any questions for Dr. Stever? Thank you, guys. Moving on to the statement of consent agenda, 5.1. The following matters may be approved in their entirety by the board upon motion made, seconded, and passed by majority vote of the board members. However, upon request by any board member, any one or more of said matters will be removed from the consent agenda and acted upon separately. Does anyone want anything removed from the consent agenda? If there are none, I will accept a motion to approve the consent agenda in its entirety.
I'll make a motion, we accept it in its entirety.
The motion by Mr. Sussman, and I will second. Mrs. Field?
Mr. Sussman?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? Ms. Colbert? Mrs. Trudy?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
7 items, we were there were none. 8, business, 8.1, consideration and possible action on going into executive session to discuss the employment, resignation, and termination of personnel as identified in the attached exhibit A for the 2023-2024 school year, all in accordance with the provisions of 25 OS Section 307B1. I'll accept a motion to convene into the executive session. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second, Mrs. Booth?
Mr. Sussman?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Colbert?
Yes.
Mrs. Trudy?
Yes.
Mr. Fields?
Yes.
It's 6:43, we are now